The chef's going to have an easy day today. Did all that cooking yesterday, so we're going to have leftovers today. Still have some of that cornbread from yesterday's breakfast, and I'm heating that up in a little heater part of my Yodel wood stove. Craig had made that special grate that just fit in there. It works out great for this, otherwise it'd be so hot that it would burn on the bottom, but for heating things up, and we used to try to make a little bread in there, and I could, but I just haven't done that. Really worked out great. For lunch, I know I've took some of that chicken and dressing and corn, and I put it into a cast iron fry pan and put it in my refrigerator out there. So when I'm ready to have lunch, I'm just going to pour a little water on that, put a lid on, and let the steam heat it up very nicely. I think it'll actually probably taste better second time around. All the flavors have soaked in. So easy day for the cook today. Chocolate cake is iced. Coffee's ready to go on, but I haven't heard any gunshots anywhere in the whole area, so I don't think I'll have any company today. But I always save some jobs around the cabin for these weekends. Here, this big balsam tree blew over in the wind probably over the summer. Unfortunately, it clobbered one of the white pines I'm trying to grow. I had the wire around it, but I'm afraid that I'll have to put another one in here, but maybe I get one to grow after all in the same spot. At least there's more sun shining through now with that big balsam down. I just take the opportunity to work up a little more firewood. I have this giant white pine growing right on the edge of the yard. It's a little bit obscured by the new birch trees I've allowed to grow up, but it's a dandy specimen and it drops cones. I'm always finding little seedlings that have sprouted around the yard, and I found one over here that we'll try to put where that tree damaged that old one. I don't know what happens to my white pine project trees, but you get one like this and growing like gangbusters. And then not very far away from it, here's this white pine, and it's doing terrible. I can tell it'll be dead by next year, so what I've done is kind of, not that I've given up on the white pine, but I've gone to put a little more variety in here. So I brought in some black spruce trees and a cedar tree to help build a leafy fence, kind of obstruct the view into from the cabin window to the woodshed. Here's a little white pine that is sprouted out here just behind the woodshed. It's in too low a ground. I know it'll never grow here, so I'm going to move it over to that spot where that balsam tree damaged the other one. This one that's all busted right in half, so I'll take it out. We'll put this new little one in there. Get some of my precious rainwater. More of my pans put to use. This is one of the big cast iron ones that hang behind the stove. You don't see, but it works out great for this purpose. You've got the chicken and dressing and leftover corn in there. Put it on the fire. I found it best to, I'll just pour some water in there. It won't make it soggy because what's going to happen, I'm going to boil it away into steam, and the steam's going to cook it all up without burning. This particular pan's really nice because it's got this big heavy cast iron lid. Lunch is being prepared. It's after lunch now, and I made a walk out to a clearing. Found one of the guys that hunts out here. He was here alone. He wasn't spending the night, so he's not going to be visiting the cabin. So that means there probably won't be any guests showing up for coffee at the cabin. I'll have to have all that cake to myself over the next couple of days. Right now we're doing a return to Sven's cabin though, but I'm coming in from the east, and we won't call this a trail, we'll just call this a way that we can get through all this cedar tangle down here, keep our feet dry. It twists and turns so much. Got a few blazes and a few ribbons hanging. Hopefully the deer will get tromping on this in the wintertime, and they'll make a pretty distinct trail out of it with their, surprising how much, even in the winter, they'll trot it down and be a very obvious path going through with the moss and the depression. This is as we approach one of Sven's cabins from the east. Well, right here as I'm stepping over, I want to make sure I don't get snagged up in that bed spring. We talked about his outhouse. A lot of debris laying around. But this over here is what brings me back down to the area. In the video when we last visited Sven's cabin, I didn't know much about him. Once I got home, my wife helped me, and with a little bit of research, soon found out where he was born overseas. Come up with a few contacts and found out that he had moved out of here probably in '39, had a family, and before he ended up in Utah, he actually came down 20 miles from my house in Illinois, lived there long enough, he had a daughter born down there, so it ended up being a very interesting tale. Some of his old stove, and there was so much stuff laying in here is why I surmised in that last video that maybe he went off to war and never came back, but no, he packed up and moved out of here. But for some reason he left an awful lot of stuff behind. One of the things was he might have taken the sewing machine works. I don't see any sign of them, but this sewing machine was growing into the roots, and I had the saw down here last week and I got it cut out. So my project today is to figure out a way to strap this on and kind of wear it back to the cabin. I've had this little glorified day pack for quite a while. When I got it, I kind of joked that I think they paid the designer by every buckle he could try to find to add, because there was buckles galore on this thing and straps. And my goal today now is to be able to utilize some of those excess straps and buckles and actually attach this thing to this backpack and use it to pad things on the way back to the cabin. I did bring along a few extra pads that I'm kind of thought the other day that this might help ease the pain of iron on my back. But this is a work in progress, so we'll see how it works out. For the first attempt, I think it feels pretty good. I'll let you know in a quarter mile. Well, things are working really well. I'm not sure what it looks like back there, but it's certainly getting the job done for me. Toting this through here in all this bad country reminds me of, oh, now here's a gray jay. I don't know if he's one of mine or not. As tame as he is, if he's not from this year, he's one from previous years. Anyway, I digress. Old Wayne would be up here with me in the wintertime, and he'd go out skiing, and we had a ditch over deal, and we had a name for it, but all of a sudden when he referred to that ditch, he started always saying, "Dead man ditch, dead man ditch." And finally, one evening he fessed up that he was over there, and you know, you get cross-country skis on and your poles strapped into your hands, and he slipped and fell down in that ditch. And he couldn't get going for quite a while. He couldn't get his shoes off. He was all tied up there, and his thought was that the wolves were going to get him before he ever got out of those skis and got going again. And so in his mind, he always called that dead man ditch. And if I mess up in here, that's kind of my worry, is that it's going to take a little bit to get unstrapped off all this. But I think we've been through the worst part, so I don't think we're going to have any trouble. Just a matter of taking it easy. Got it made now. Here's a view you get seldom see of the cabin. Just for taking picture's sake, I keep all the rain accumulation system out back unless I need it. But there's a good look at our skylight. This is where I keep an extra battery out here wired into the system. That way I can unhook the battery inside and change it when I want to without losing all the presets on the radio. No big deal, but just makes life easier. I think we'll use this well platform over here to unload this thing. The log laying back there in the woods I put it up on to get it up onto my shoulders. Okay, buddy, you're gonna have to move. I got work to do here. Not sure what's going on back there, but I can get it off, then I'll worry about it. Success. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it, but it's all set up here for a nice slab to make a good tabletop of some kind. I've got it back here. I'm plenty happy with that. Now I've got another problem to deal with. Kind of figured out that I'm not going to have any guests stopping by this weekend, and I got a chocolate cake sitting in there. I've got a little saying at home that desserts go bad in 24 hours. This one's already 31 hours old, so I'm going to go ahead and put on some tea and have a piece. Then I'll think about this. Obviously, it's a real winner. Certainly worth that carry. Be a nice, another piece of history brought over here to Martin's cabin. Shake the camera, go ahead. Drink my coffee. Make yourself at home. We're going to have a good time with this one. It's been rainy enough that whenever it gets down to where it's just a heavy mist, I try to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. Having a wild dinner here again tonight. Ground venison with my good dose of mustard. Some wild rice that a friend donated to me up here to have at the cabin. So doing very well. I still got that chocolate cake. Have a little piece of that when we're done with this. Well, I'll have to see. There's quite a bit here.